Ready?
Ready.
All right, we're going to kick things off. Good morning. Minutes after 11. My name is Drew Hudson. I work with Friends of the Earth, and we are here outside of the Dominion shareholders meeting, where folks have been inside the shareholders meeting talking to Dominion's executives and shareholders about cleaning up their dirty act and making some changes for the future. We also have folks who were not allowed into the meeting but are impacted by Dominion's policies in Virginia, North Carolina, and other states. And so we're going to have a short list of speakers to give you some updates from around the region. And then after that, we'll be available for questions and interviews if anybody wants to. So first we're going to bring up our friend from Virginia, Ms. Cook, who was in the shareholders meeting and can talk to us about her experience.
Hello, I'm Ms. Cook from Norfolk, Virginia. I let Dominion Energy know I am very angry that you have a good resource and you're turning it into bad. This frack gas affects health, communities. Where I live, there is a community of elementary school, middle school. I should not have to walk, play, be social in my city, in my state, in my community, and worry about if I have to worry about the ground under me is going to blow up. Thank you.
Thanks. Woo! Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So next, can we have Frida come up and talk about some of the shareholder resolutions that were offered and some of the discussion inside the meeting as well. Just handing off her phone first.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I was handing up a pen.
Come on up. Please take a look.
Can you start by saying and spelling your name for us?
Absolutely. My name is Frida Cathcart. Frida spelled F-R-E-E-D-A. Cathcart spelled C-A-T-H-C-A-R-T. And I am from Roanoke, Virginia. And I was a SCANA shareholder before becoming a Dominion shareholder in January. And I have grave concerns about the current direction of Dominion Energy when it comes to building fracked gas pipelines. The high capacity ones, the Mountain Valley Pipeline, they are part of the Mountain Valley Pipeline as well as the Atlantic Coast Pipeline. And we are in the middle of an economic disruption right now in this nation. It's a good thing because the price of renewables has come down much faster in price than what people were predicting. And the storage capacity on batteries has gone through a revolution where you can now have more storage on batteries at less cost. And we don't talk about this enough, but energy efficiency is really making the difference when it comes to how energy is used. And that's why it is flat as far as the need for fracked gas. Because even though our economy is growing, because of the reduction of the need of energy, because of energy efficiency and people using renewables, we don't need any new fracked gas pipelines. So, as you can imagine, being a former SCANA shareholder that experienced the debacle of the BC summer plant, I don't want to see a repeat with that with these pipelines. Because when that happened, our dividend checks went to 1/10 of what they used to be. And that really hurt a whole lot of shareholders, especially the ones on retirement. And it hurt the ratepayers at the same time because they were paying for something with the BC summer plant that they got ripped off for. And that's not fair to residents and businesses. So I don't want to see the same thing repeat with these pipelines. I want to see us going in a futuristic direction of using the latest technology of renewables and energy efficiency and storage batteries to have a brighter future and healthier for everybody. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Woo!
Thank you so much. And since Frida brought up the Atlantic Coast Pipeline, we actually have two folks from North Carolina, Greg and Tom. I don't know if you both want to come up or just Greg. Talk a little bit about the impacts of that pipeline in North Carolina.
Hello everyone, my name is Greg Yost. I'm from Mars Hill, North Carolina, and I'm part of a grassroots movement in North Carolina
Can you spell your last name?
Yost, spelled Y-O-S-T.
Okay.
I'm part of a grassroots movement in North Carolina dedicated to stopping construction of Dominion's Atlantic Coast Pipeline. My group is called APPLE, the Alliance to Protect Our People and the Places We Live. And we come from across the state. Some of us are impacted landowners along the pipeline route in the east, fighting to stop the unjust taking of our land through Dominion's abuse of eminent domain laws. Others of us come from the Piedmont or the mountains and clearly see that we're going to be impacted by the pipeline too, as we're forced month by month to pay off its $8 billion cost in the form of a de facto tax Dominion and Duke Energy intend to pass through to ratepayers on our power bills. But wherever we live in North Carolina, we know two things to be true about the Atlantic Coast Pipeline. The ACP's gas is unnecessary. Current supplies from existing pipelines, coupled with investments in affordable wind, solar, and battery storage, can meet North Carolina's energy needs now. And the ACP is harmful. As a vital link in the chain enabling and connecting leaky fracked gas methane extraction to its combustion, we know that the ACP, if built, will be a driver for climate chaos and an increase in the extreme weather events now eroding North Carolina's prosperity and traumatizing her people. So we've traveled south for today's shareholder meeting, sad that our sister state of South Carolina is likewise experiencing an unwelcome home invasion by way of the SCANA merger, by this abusive, belligerent bully from Richmond. We've had time now in North Carolina to take Dominion's measure and have learned what Virginia has long known, that Dominion, like Duke Energy, is a parasite, not a good corporate citizen. Its business model is about sucking money from ratepayers for unneeded and unwanted infrastructure. You don't reason with a tick. You pull it off. Dominion Energy, Duke Energy, or any bloodsucker who would delay, deflect, manipulate, or weaken our resolve to build a new and more just energy system reflective of actual 21st century economic and scientific reality, they have to be jettisoned now. Die-hard opponents of energy democracy have no place at the table. Never forget that the table exists. Taking, for example, the case of the Atlantic Coast Pipeline, it exists solely at the convenience of and for the well-being of the people of West Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. The maintenance and aggrandizement of multi-billion-dollar corporations and their robber baron executives is not our responsibility. Protecting our people and protecting the places we live, that's our responsibility. Dominion Energy shareholders, executives, bought and paid for politicians, we don't want your pipeline. And if that's all you have to offer us, we don't want you. We're going to stop the Atlantic Coast Pipeline.
All right. Woo!
Thank you, Greg. Next thing I'll bring up Miss Mary from Mothers Out Front.
Woo! Hi, my name's Mary Cerulli, C-E-R-U-L-L-I. I'm with Mothers Out Front, an organization that's national, 25,000 members strong, and we seek a livable climate for our children. I'm also here in partnership with Climate Majority Project, which is a coalition of almost $2 trillion of global assets. And these assets are represented by our pension plans, our retirement savings, workers, teachers, everyday people. And these investors, $2 trillion worth strong, stand beside us in the quest for our utilities to decarbonize. Mr. Farrell inside said that, yes, there's plans to go to 80% emission reduction, which is okay, but it's proven in the report that we have that goes through the IPCC data, is vetted by Ceres, is vetted by CalPERS, the largest pension plan in our country, as a must to go to net zero in 2050. Because what happens when you don't pledge this, when you do not have the leadership inside an important utility as Dominion, is that you do silly things in the short term, like expending capital in these flawed projects when there are other alternatives. Other utilities have pledged to go 100% renewable. XL, which is a big utility based in Missouri, goes across 8 states. This is possible. Yet, Dominion says embrace change. It has not embraced change. It has just done a whole bunch of propaganda in there. And I know there are good people in there, but they've been fooled. Dominion must pledge to go net zero.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And our last shareholder, or second to last shareholder speaker is Pam, who's a South Carolina resident as well.
My name is Pamela Greenlaw, last name Greenlaw. I'm a Dominion shareholder. I was a SCANA shareholder and Dominion shareholder, separate ownings or investments. Of course, the SCANA, I dumped it when Westinghouse went under. When they went bankrupt, I dumped the SCANA and kept the Dominion. As a shareholder, I was very disappointed this morning to the response to Michelle Cook. And so I need to say this on behalf of the other shareholders who are looking at more than the 14% of return promised for the ACP pipeline. And that is that we want to see environmental justice done throughout all levels of Dominion's planning and goal setting and execution. They have a terrible track record. I have to read a couple of things to you. In Virginia, 2014, Dominion sued a single landowner for disallowing their surveyors to come onto his land to survey. This tactic of suing to intrude into trespass is a huge injustice that can impoverish owners who seek to assert their property rights. The other thing that I would need to say is that this is what Michelle Cook stood and told you about, the pipeline that's near her home. In 2018, Dominion targeted the community of Union Hill, Virginia, an African-American town, as a site for a gas compressor station. These gas compressor stations have huge noise pollution as well as other pollution burdens that should not be borne by low-income communities. So one thing that Dominion really needs to focus on is to avoid the creation of sacrifice zones where communities have to bear the heaviest burden, the primary burden, of loss of their use of property, not only through seizures, but loss of the use of their land, through the land water pollution that ensues from building pipelines, especially the unnecessary ones, and through the environmental damage losses to wetlands and sensitive habitats. They're causing extreme health risks to these communities with insisting on projects such as the ACP and putting pipelines where they don't need to be. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pam. We have one more shareholder. Mr. Kringle's going to come up and talk. He's been a local activist for many years and was inside the meeting as well.
I'm John Kringle. I've been a political activist for over 50 years. I'm a shareholder of Dominion, a successor to SEMG. What I'm going to try to advocate as a shareholder is that the corporation not give campaign contributions either at the federal or state level. It's my belief after the last 30-some years I've been at the State House that it's possible to buy the legislature. You can buy votes over there, and that's how the base load review Act got passed about 10 years ago. So I'm going to try to see if I can get a resolution passed in the next shareholder meeting to ban any use of corporate money to give campaign contributions to any politicians at the state and federal level. Thank you.
All right, so I'm Drew Hudson again. I work with Friends of the Earth. I live here in Columbia. I'm a Dominion ratepayer now, used to be an SCG ratepayer. We're going to do a little song we want to sing to Dominion. If folks were at the church with us last night, we were blessed to be joined by Reverend Leo Woodbury and a whole contingent of folks from across the state who cannot make it today.
Justice first.
Obviously part of a weekday meeting. This is designed for people who don't have to work for a living. They just have to collect shareholder tips. There was a great crew last night at Zion Baptist. We sang some songs together, and we heard stories about how Dominion's policies impacting people across South Carolina, how climate change is impacting communities across South Carolina from the Justice First movement. One last thing I want to add is that as a ratepayer and as a customer here in South Carolina, we are angry. Is anybody here angry at Dominion?
Oh hell yeah! Oh yeah!
We're angry because Dominion has lied to us. They told us they were going to give us $1,000. Last year made $3 billion in profits. Anybody want to guess what they paid in taxes last year? Zero! Wrong. They got a $45 million tax rebate. This is one of the richest utilities in the world. They can afford to give South Carolina ratepayers a break. They can afford to make investments in energy efficiency and renewable energy that will benefit our communities. And they are choosing not to do that. Instead, they are lying to us, they are taking our money, and they are giving it away in bonuses to their executives, and in huge lobbying campaigns at the State House, and in big advertising campaigns all over South Carolina. We're angry about that. We want them to know that. So we got a little song we taught ourselves at the meeting last night. If you weren't there, that's okay. You'll pick it up real fast. The first line is the same. Hey, Dominion, walk the talk each time. And then the second line changes. So I'm going to sing it to you, and you sing it back to me, and then we'll sing it all together. Is that all right? All right. Somebody give me a little marching beat. We're going to walk this off. Walk the talk. Hey, Dominion, walk the talk.
Hey ho, Dominion, walk the talk.
Good. The wisdom of the rivers cannot be bought. The wisdom of the rivers cannot be bought. Good. Same line again. Hey, Dominion, walk the talk. Hey, Dominion, walk the talk. The power of the people will not be stopped. The power of the people will not be stopped. Good, let's do it all together. Hey, Dominion, walk the talk. The wisdom of the rivers will not be bought. Hey, Dominion, walk the talk. The power of the people will not be stopped. Hey, Dominion, walk the talk. The
Wisdom of the river cannot be bought. Hey, Dominion, walk the talk. The power of the middle will not be bought.
Thank you.